I got early access to the new Killer Klowns from Outer Space game, and in today's video, I'll be sharing all of my first impressions of the game to help you decide if you should snag it for yourself or if it might not be a good fit for you. As of right now, the game is at a retail price of $39.99 USD, which is a pretty good chunk of change for a game entering the asymmetrical horror market. I'll be giving you all of my positive and negative feelings about the game from the early access launch day. Before we dive into the video, let me know what Killer Clown videos or guides you'd like to see on the channel, and be sure to check out my Twitch, link in the description. But enough clowning around, let's get right into it. Alright, so I thought I'd start today's video with a brief overview of the game and the basics of how it works. I've also timestamped the video for today in case you want to skip over anything, and I'll be letting you know what's included in the pre-order as well. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is an asymmetrical horror experience that allows players to either take on the role of a killer clown to hunt down and massacre survivors, or they can take on the role of a human and work together to find an escape from this nightmare. Humans have 15 minutes to escape before the clownpocalypse is unleashed, so time is of the essence. There are 3 clowns on the killer side and 7 humans on the survivor side, making for an interesting experience in the asym horror space. Both roles offer unique clown types and human archetypes that have different playstyles for everyone. The game has a ton of maps to help keep the experience fresh from match to match. These maps are relatively large compared to some other asym horror games out there, and map knowledge is vital for success. I'll go over some more specifics of the game in the future, such as types of escapes or clown types, so be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on that. If you pre-order the game, you'll get a week of early access to human shower cosmetics, a clown jumpsuit cosmetic, and a clown character, Slim. The deluxe edition upgrade offers 2 human characters, Mike and Debbie, 2 additional clown jumpsuit skins, 1 movie clown skin, and a digital soundtrack and art book. But with that brief overview out of the way, let's talk about what I like about this game so far. Killer Klowns has an extremely strong identity and does a great job putting you into a retro world filled with funny undertones and a true asym horror experience. The game has made me laugh with balloon animal tracking dogs and made me jump when a clown caught me at the wrong time. From a visual perspective, the game looks very good and definitely has a huge personality. This game isn't necessarily trying to scare the pants off you, but it's more focused on engulfing you into the gameplay and creating a unique match every single time. This game takes a ton of cues from games like Evil Dead and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with longer match times and more focus on gathering items to fight back and escape from a force of evil. I find this style of game to be extremely rewarding, and it isn't as basic in terms of objectives as something like Dead by Daylight. The game offers tons of ways to escape and territories to defend, which I personally love. I do want to make it clear that this game is not the most satisfying when you first start. There are a ton of different mechanics to understand, and the tutorials have a good bit of information, but they don't spell everything out for you. Not to mention the tutorials are not playable, and you just get to read about them, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Regardless, I honestly think this is one of those games that gets super fun with the more time you shovel into it. I feel like once you have a good understanding of all the maps, escapes, and mechanics, it could become a super rewarding experience for many players. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of fun to be had when starting out, but just expect a bit of frustration and unfulfillment as well. And I might change my feelings on this with time, but it's really just what I feel like the attitude of the game is from launch day. I really like that the game offers some sense of progression with levels and unlocks available at higher levels, but I do feel like the game could offer a little bit more there just to keep the super grindy player satisfied. Additionally, I hope the game continues to add additional archetypes, weapons, maps, etc., just to keep things fresh and interesting and to shake up the meta, but I'm sure that's what their plan is going forward. I also think that this game is a ton of fun with friends, like a lot of multiplayer experiences. It can make the frustrating moments more bearable and the epic moments even more fun to celebrate. I really like that this game introduced proximity voice chat not only within teams, but between enemy players, and this isn't something I've seen done a whole lot in this genre. So far, I've honestly had some fun encounters with this, and I hope it continues to be used as a tool for fun among players rather than an avenue for toxicity. But overall, I have a lot of good things to say about this game. My main overview with the positive aspects of this game is that it feels like a large exploratory world with tons of complex mechanics and a lot to learn. There isn't a ton of horror or fear like you would get from your first match in TCM or DBD, but I don't really think that's the intent of the game. If you're looking for something elaborate and a new challenge to take on, this might be a great game for you. With that out of the way, let's talk about some aspects of Killer Klowns that I don't like. I really don't have a ton of complaints with the game, and a lot of my gripes are with small things that may get adjusted or fixed over time. The first problem I have with this game is the queue system that's available in early access. You don't get to pick if you want to play as a clown or human, which honestly isn't the big deal until you're on your 5th match in a row as a human. And I found that I was honestly just more likely to be playing as a human due to the sheer amount of humans needed to fill a lobby. It's really just not my favorite thing, especially because I personally tend to enjoy the killer roles more often anyways. But hey, who knows, maybe this won't be the case in a few weeks. My second issue with this game is one I briefly mentioned previously, and it's a small thing, but I hate that the tutorial isn't playable. I'm a very hands-on learner, and for me, the written guides were okay, but I was still left with questions such as, where do I find the keycard for this type of escape, or how much range do distraction items have? Regardless, I think this is a pretty tiny complaint overall, and I think just by playing the game more, I'll probably feel differently about this. Another thing I have a small problem with in this game is the fact that there is no DC penalty. I do realize that the rounds can be quite long, and I might change my mind about this in the coming weeks. But as of right now, I don't like that a lot of players just dip out of the match if it isn't going their way. And I feel like the developers did a ton of work to keep players engaged after a death, especially on the human side, where you can still help your teammates by playing mini games and giving them items, or you can even just kick back and watch the match until you're brought back in. Regardless, it just feels disappointing to lose team members no matter what side you're on. And I get that real life happens sometimes and people do have to leave. But when it happens a lot during your games and it starts to take you out of the experience, it becomes more frustrating. And again, maybe this is something that will just improve with time. My last two complaints are brief, but I thought they were worth mentioning. First, I wish that all the clown types had one special ability unique to themselves and different from clown tricks. It's apparent that all of the clowns have these kind of perks and tricks available to swap out, and the types really just change your stats, but I feel like it kind of takes away from the personality of the clowns. Like, if I was playing a brute clown, it'd be nice to feel like I have a brute ability that no other clown has access to, and it would really pull me into that experience. My other complaint is that as of now, this game doesn't have something like a battle pass. I know this is kind of a weird issue to take with this game, but it honestly would be perfect to have a free battle pass to work towards for new cosmetics aside from the ones set in the base game. A system similar to the battle pass found in Helldivers would be extremely neat and a great way to earn more cosmetics, as it doesn't require players to spend real money, but they still have something new and exciting to grind for over a longer duration of time. Anyways, with those final thoughts out of the way, let's get into the big question: is this game worth $40? If you're looking for a fun, interesting spin within the ASIM horror genre, I feel like this game can definitely be worth it. If you go into this game thinking you're getting another Dead by Daylight, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. To me, this game is so much more about the adventure and experiencing this wacky world that's been created for the player. The killer role doesn't feel as powerful as something like Dead by Daylight, and the humans don't feel quite as helpless. I think this game comes down to if you're in a headspace of wanting something new. I'll admit, I was even a little disappointed when I felt like I didn't have a horrific presence on the map as a clown, but I decided to try and continue with an open mind to a new experience. And I truly do believe that IllFonic accomplished what they set out to do. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on Killer Klowns down below and what you like and dislike about the game. Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are on the early access, or if you decided to wait on the pre-order. If you enjoyed the video today, consider subscribing, as it helps me to continue making content here on YouTube. But thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.